The sound of a boy's dream. Where legends are born. Tampa, Florida, 1964. The sun hung low over the orange groves, its golden light pouring through the dusty windows of a modest bungalow. Inside, a boy no older than 11 sat cross-legged on the living room floor, clutching an old portable radio, his ear nearly pressed against the speaker. The world beyond that speaker was alive. Grunts, cheers, slams, and announcers barking with electricity. And there he goes. Off the top rope. Terry Bollea didn't know what all the moves were called. He didn't understand the rules. But he understood how it made him feel, like anything was possible. That someone like him, a quiet, big kid with a wild imagination, could someday stand tall and be loved by everyone. That moment wasn't about muscles or money or medals. It was about belief. It was the first time in his young life he thought, maybe that could be me one day. A boy unlike the rest. Terry wasn't the fastest or the loudest. He was big for his age, always had been. Some kids admired him for it, others teased him. He walked slow, thought deep, and loved stories, comics, cowboy flicks, superheroes. But what separated Terry wasn't his size. It was his heart. He'd help carry groceries for neighbors. He'd sit by the lonely kid at school and trade his peanut butter sandwich for someone else's plain bread without a second thought. His parents, Peter and Ruth, worked hard. His dad was a construction foreman, proud and quiet. His mom was warm, tough as nails, and endlessly supportive. They didn't have much, but they had love, and they gave Terry the space to dream. One Christmas, they couldn't afford toys, but his dad carved a small wooden barbell. On it, he had etched, "Be strong. For yourself first." By his teens, Terry found another passion, music. He picked up a bass guitar and fell in love. He played for hours, callousing his fingers and jamming to anything loud, wild, and full of soul. By 16, he was gigging with local bands and becoming something of a legend in Tampa's rock scene. People would say, "That big blonde kid on the bass. He's got something." They didn't know what yet, but it was clear he had it. A presence, a magnetism, and a goodness that shone even behind dark stage lights. Still, wrestling always lingered in the back of his mind. It was the thing he dreamed about on quiet nights, lying on the roof of his house, staring at the stars, whispering, "Someday." It was just another humid Florida night in 1976. Terry and his band, Ruckus, had just finished a sweaty set at a downtown bar. As they loaded equipment into the van, two rugged men approached from the shadows. "Hey, you the big guy playing bass in there?" Terry wiped sweat from his brow, cautious. "Yeah." The men introduced themselves as Jack and Gerald Briscoe, professional wrestlers and local legends. "You ever think about wrestling?" Jack asked. Terry chuckled. "Since I was a kid." Gerald grinned. "You've got the look. You've got the size. We think you've got what it takes." In that moment, everything in Terry's life, the bullying, the music, the dreams, the long nights with the radio, snapped into focus. This wasn't a coincidence. This was destiny calling. The night before everything changed. That night, Terry didn't sleep. He sat out on the porch, guitar across his lap, staring at the stars again. His mother stepped outside and joined him quietly. "You okay, baby?" He looked at her with a nervous smile. "Ma, I think my life is about to change." She studied his face, still boyish, still uncertain, and kissed his forehead. "Good. Just remember who you are." And he never forgot. Before he became a global icon, before the arenas, the championships, and the cheers, Hulk Hogan was just a boy with a broken radio and a big dream. And in that dream, he believed that the world could be better, if only someone was strong enough to fight for it. Bass strings and broken bones. The price of the dream. Tampa, Florida, 1976. The bar was loud. Too loud. The crowd shouted for more, fists pumping in rhythm with the bass. On stage, a hulking figure leaned into his guitar, sweat dripping down his face. He didn't just play, he commanded. But behind the music, his mind was somewhere else. It had been 2 weeks since that encounter with the Briscoe brothers. Wrestling school was calling. Music had been his world. But this This felt like his purpose. First day of wrestling training. The gym was dim. No music. No lights. Just the dull slap of body on mat and the groan of iron weights. Terry Bollea stood in the center, unsure, stretching quietly. And then in walked Hiro Matsuda, the infamous trainer known for building warriors and breaking anyone who wasn't serious. He looked at Terry like a man stares at a tree he plans to cut down. "You want to be wrestler?" "Yes, sir." "No." "You want to be superstar?" "I train wrestler." "You want stardom? Leave now." Terry stayed. The breaking point. Day 1 wasn't a workout, it was war. Drop-downs, rolls, slam drills, suplexes. 4 hours. And then, it happened. During a routine drill, Matsuda grabbed Terry for a basic takedown and twisted hard. Crack. Terry screamed. His leg was broken. As he writhed on the floor, Matsuda leaned down and whispered, "Now, we see if you come back." The recovery. Terry could have quit. Nobody would have blamed him. He sat in his tiny apartment, staring at the cast on his leg, guitar resting untouched in the corner. Pain radiated from his knee. His pride was shattered. But something inside him, deeper than ego, refused to die. He started training while still in the cast. Lifting with one leg. Reading old wrestling books. Studying tapes. Practicing promos in front of the mirror. Every day, he repeated the same mantra. "I'm not just building muscle. I'm building destiny." Returned to the ring. 6 months later, Terry limped back into that same dingy gym. Matsuda raised his eyebrow, then grunted. He didn't say, "Welcome back." He didn't smile. Instead, he threw Terry to the mat. Again. And Terry rose. Again. And he rose. He kept rising, faster, harder, stronger. He trained under Hiro for 2 more brutal months, then began his first match under the name Terry Boulder. His career had started, but the legend had yet to be born. The moment it all changed. One night, backstage at a small show, a promoter approached him. "You ever hear of the Incredible Hulk?" Terry chuckled. "Yeah. Love him. You kinda look like him. Hell, you're bigger. What if we called you Hulk?" And just like that, in a smoky locker room somewhere in Alabama, the seed of Hulk Hogan was planted. Meeting Vince McMahon Sr. Soon after, Terry made waves in the Southeastern Circuit. People were buzzing about that massive blonde guy with movie star looks and crowd-pulling charisma. Eventually, Vince McMahon Sr. came calling. "You've got something," Vince told him over coffee in New York. "We're going to take you to the big leagues, but we need a name that screams hero." They settled on Hulk Hogan. Irish last name. Comic book first name. Muscle, charisma, and moral firepower. A name the world would never forget. Even as the crowds grew and the lights got brighter, Terry still called home every night. He told his mom about matches. His dad would grunt in approval, "Just don't go breaking your neck, boy." He still cried when he saw little kids wave at him. He still played his bass at night to calm his nerves. He still carried the wooden barbell his father carved when he was a boy. Because even now, even as Hulk Hogan began to emerge, he never stopped being Terry. The kid with the dream. The boy who chose pain over comfort. The man who knew that to stand tall before thousands, first you have to stand up for yourself. Before the roar of the crowds, there was silence. Before the glory, there was pain. Hulk Hogan didn't rise by luck. He clawed his way upward, bone by bone, failure by failure. And every time the world said, "You don't belong here," he answered, "Then I'll build my own place." This is Dark Case Diaries. Thank you for listening. Watch out for the next video.